Aloha friends, happy Thursday. Because I'm going to back up a little bit, let's see. Trying to go live on Instagram and Facebook right now. So, let me see, I think it's working. Awesome. So, let's see who's joining. Hi Megan. So this is our third class on the first limb of yoga, which is called the Yamas. And we're talking about, yay, hi. We're talking about the third of the 5 parts of the first limb of yoga. So first limb of yoga, third of the 5 parts. And this one is an interesting one. But real quick, while we're waiting for folks to come in, we'll just talk about the Yamas in general as a set of the first limb of yoga. And some of us are familiar, some of us are not. There's 8 limbs to yoga. And the physical postures that we do are the 3rd limb. The breath work is the 4th limb. But there's 2 limbs before those. They're called the Yamas and the Niyamas. So this class on Thursday night, we've been going through the Yamas for a couple weeks. And the Yamas, like I've said in this class before, I like to call them how to treat the world and everyone in it. It really is that simple, just ways to be and act in the world. And so the first of those we went over a couple weeks ago was called ahimsa, meaning loving kindness, that first and foremost above all else, like make sure that we're being nice to each other, that we're acting out of love more than anything else. The second was satya, and satya means truthfulness, honesty, and we can all see how important that is. It's an interesting one right now with the state of the world and who all is actually being truthful about things and who is not. So, you know, that one's an interesting one. They're always interesting, and they're all deeper than they appear to be on the surface. And that's part of what I love about them, because you can look at the Yamas and the Niyamas too on the surface and say, okay, you know, we should be loving and kind, or we should be honest and truthful. What does that really, really mean beyond just like, you know, I shouldn't lie to my friend, right? What does it really mean? And what does it mean to us? Because we're part of this world too, and so how to treat the world and everyone in it includes how to treat yourself. So that's super important. Tonight, we're going over the 3rd of the Yamas, and it's called Asteya. Asteya. And Asteya means non-stealing. And it's, again, you know, it's on the surface like, oh yeah, of course, like I shouldn't steal stuff from people. Like that's pretty well established, you know, we shouldn't take things that aren't ours. But again, it's deeper than that, right? It's not just like I shouldn't, you know, take my friend's object that I like because it's theirs and that's wrong. It goes way beyond that. One of the things I think that's most interesting to think about when we think about Asteya is stealing people's time. And we've all experienced that, right? You know, where you can clearly tell this person has something else to do, but you, or maybe you're witnessing somebody else do it, they're keeping on talking, and you can tell the person needs to go. Or, you know, when you ask a person if they can do something and the answer isn't like a resounding yes, but they agree to do it anyway, and you can kind of tell that, and so you can really be stealing people's time. You can also be stealing people's energy. I think we all can see that sometimes, and sometimes we even talk about, you know, people talk about energy vampires, right? And so it's not just like, don't steal my stuff, it's, you know, don't steal my energy and my time and all of those sorts of things. Now, I always like to turn these around and say, what does it mean to us ourselves, right? And there's a few different ways to think about Asteya as far as it's concerning more so to ourselves. One of the ways in which I think oftentimes many of us are stealing from ourselves is by actually hiding parts of ourselves, feeling like we have to be a certain way or act a certain way in the world. We're stealing our own energy by having to do that. We're also kind of taking things away from the world because we're not showing up authentically. We're not showing up in our full self. We might think being another way is better, But really, when we can be in our truth and as honest and who we are as possible, that's really a gift to the world. You might not realize it, but it really, really is. And so the more we can show up, be authentic, kind of like we talked about with Satya last week, but like in a different way, right? Like if you're not showing up that way, if you're not giving your full self to the world, that's really taking that away from the world, and the world can use each and every one of you. I promise you have something to give to the world when you show up authentically, when you're being your true self. So there's that. The other one that I think is really interesting, and this is the one we're going to focus on tonight, is stealing the present moment from ourselves and stealing the experience of being alive from ourselves. Oftentimes we don't want to feel certain emotions, maybe we don't want to have a certain experience, and we check out from it, or we spend so much time trying to get to those like good feeling emotions. And so when things are going on that should create other emotions, we're not feeling those emotions. And there's a whole nother thing to be said from yoga and Lomi as far as how those things get stuck in our bodies, and that's just icky, and we can talk about that another day. But you're really robbing yourself of the experience of being alive. We're meant to be here, and we're meant to feel all of these things, even the things that are going on right now. Like, yeah, the world is crazy, but this is an experience. We're living through this. We're living through history, and we need to feel what's going on, even if that means feeling those dark emotions. So don't rob yourself of that. But being present, too, is super, super important. Being in the present moment. So often, we are just not, right? Things are going on, but we're thinking about, what am I going to do when the quarantine is over? And we're really not paying attention to right now. Or we're thinking about, oh man, I wish that I could go back to that time when this was happening, and we're not in the present moment. Or we're like trying to plot and plan different things, or even just like, what am I going to make for dinner later? And we're so often, we're just not in the present moment. And we're robbing ourselves of that present moment. We're robbing ourselves of feeling what it feels like to be in that moment. And as silly as it sounds, this moment is never going to come again. So it's important to experience it, to be present, to be there. And so I'm going to take us through a little flow on our mat tonight, if you've got your mat with you. If not, you can watch and you can listen and you can try it later. A little flow. We're not even going to get up onto our feet. We're going to stay kind of low tonight. But the idea is just to try to be present through this whole little sequence. So I'm going to head over to my mat and we can all get started. Alright, so go ahead, take a comfortable seat, whatever that means to you. If you don't like sitting cross-legged, by all means don't sit cross-legged. You can sit another way. Just make sure that your spine is nice and long and you can breathe freely. And let's go ahead and close our eyes. Take a nice easy inhale and a nice easy exhale. Just let your awareness settle onto your breath. And as it does, let your breath be a reminder to be here in the present moment. Your breath is always just in this moment. The inhale flows in, the exhale flows out. It's always just there. And so the breath is a great place that we can focus upon, that can bring us to the present moment, that can show us, this is what's going on right now. I'm inhaling and I'm exhaling. And really just start to let whatever was going on earlier, whatever's going to go on later, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes from now, yesterday, tomorrow, none of that's happening right now. We're just here on our mat getting ready to practice. And it's a challenge just to be present. It's a challenge to keep your focus on your breath. I heard a teacher one time say if you could follow the breath for 12 breaths without thinking another thought, you were a master yogi or a master meditator. I don't know how true that is, but it's interesting to try, right? We start to go other places. We stop being in the present moment. And so let's set a collective intention. I don't usually do that, but let's set a collective intention during this really short practice, just to try to be present. And I will say, I don't usually share intentions, and I don't usually ask my students to share intention, but for a good probably 5 years when I started practicing yoga, my intention almost every time I practiced was to attempt to be present through the whole practice. And I will tell you, it's such a challenge. And so let's make that our intention for this practice. If you would like to set a secondary intention for yourself, you can do that also, totally up to you. But I like this idea of just trying to be present, not stealing this present moment from ourselves. And hold this intention of being present and whatever other intentions you would like to set for yourself in your heart for a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. All right, so let's come to all fours. So hands under the shoulders and knees under the hips. Spread your fingers wide, press through your finger pads, feel your hands on the earth, feel your shins on the ground, feel the tops of your feet on the ground. And let's just move with our breath and warm up our spine. So inhale, arch and look up. And then exhale, round your back up towards the ceiling. So we're just gonna go back and forth like this a few times. This is one of my favorite ways to warm up for yoga, but also one of my favorite just things to do in yoga. Just feel your body. So our breath is a great reminder to be present. Our body is also a great reminder to be present. And we can just bring our focus to our breath and to our body, and that can help to put us in this present moment. Just think about how your body feels. Think about how the ground feels underneath you. Think about how it feels to move your spine. Maybe see if you can move one vertebra at a time. And if your mind starts to wander, be really nice to yourself, because it's such a challenge. And just come back to the present moment, feeling the body, feeling the breath. Let's just go a couple more times. So like I said, this is going to be a really simple practice. So from here, we're going to take our knees out to the side of our mats, let our big toes touch together, and just sink the hips back as far as they'll go, hips over the heels, and your head can find the earth. I'm going to lift my head so I can talk, but your head can find the earth. And just be here for a few moments, and again, just feel this. How do your hips feel sinking back over your heels? How do your legs feel? They might feel great, they might feel squished and uncomfortable, but feel whatever is going on in this present moment. How do the hands still feel on the ground? How do the arms feel? I always love folding forward into child's pose and then feeling how it feels to breathe into the back of your body, so your back ribs expand and contract with your breath, and sometimes we don't feel that part of the breath, and so when we fold forward, we can get in touch with that. And again, if the mind starts to wander, just bring it back to this present moment, however this is feeling. Take another breath. And then from here, rise on back up. So if you want to stay on all fours, you can stay here on all fours. Otherwise, we're going to go for downward dog. So hands can go about 6 inches or so in front of the shoulders. Make sure the fingers are spread really wide. Press through the fingers, press through the pads of your hands like you're trying to push the earth away. Tuck the toes and lift the hips up and back. downward facing dog. And then take a moment, if you're in downward dog, pedal out your legs. If you're on all fours, you can do your cat stretches again if you like, or wiggle around however feels good for you. But again, just feeling what this feels like. Keeping your mind on your body, keeping your mind on your breath, noticing the sensations, noticing all your senses. What can you hear other than me? How do the backs of your legs feel as we're stretching them out, pedaling the legs? How does it feel holding your weight up with your arms? If you're up and you're pedaling, just pedal a couple more times. And then we'll reach both heels down towards the floor. They don't have to touch. Reach the sit bones way back, let your spine be long. Take a big breath. And then we're going to go child's pose again. So bring the knees back down. Take the knees out wide. Sit back over your heels. Child's pose, let the head drop to the earth. So same thing, we're just feeling the body, being present, not stealing this moment from ourselves. Practicing Asteya. Whatever sensations are arising, letting them be, but noticing them, being in this moment. And then go ahead and look forward again. You can go from all fours down to your stomach, or you can take one little downward dog and take a breath. And then come forward to plank pose. We're not going to hang out here too long. We'll lower all the way down to the ground. So feet reach back behind you, hands in line with the chest. Let's try a cobra pose. Just lifting up just a little bit. Think about nice strong core, nice strong legs. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears. And then lower down. And just try that a couple more times. So inhale, cobra. And just seeing, how does this back bend feel? Does it feel challenging? Does it feel nice? Just notice the sensations one more time. And go ahead, lower down, tuck the toes. We'll come on up. One more downward dog. Or stay on all fours, you can decide. Take 3 nice long breaths. And just feel your breath, feel the presence of your breath. And then we'll come on down to all fours. And from here, swing your legs around in the front and lay down onto your back. So I must confess, someone said something to me about happy baby pose earlier today, and I decided that we had to do it for this class just as I wanted to do it after they said it. But it's an interesting pose to feel too. So go ahead, take your feet up towards the ceiling. Ideally, our hands come to the outside edges of our feet, and we're going to draw our knees towards our armpits. I love how this pose feels on my lower back, being nice and flat on the floor. If you can't grab your feet for any reason, you can grab your ankles and pull down. You can grab your shins and pull down. Or if you really can't grab that high, you can grab the backs of your knees and pull down. The idea is that your knees are headed to your armpits, and you should look like a sumo wrestler that's trying to squat on the ceiling. You can close your eyes, and we'll take a few breaths. And again, we're just feeling, what does this feel like? Now we're on our back, different than before. Maybe we're getting opening in our inner thighs, some opening in our hips, our glutes maybe. Still finding the breath flowing in and out. Still noticing if the mind is wandering, trying to bring it back. Being kind along the way, because we know that as we get deeper into our yamas and niyamas, we can't forget the ones before. So if we're trying to be present and we notice our mind wandering and then we're unkind to ourselves and get upset with ourselves, that's forgetting our ahimsa there from the beginning of our yamas. So be nice to yourself, just notice. And then let's go ahead and let that go. Hug the knees into the chest. Take a couple breaths. Again, noticing the sensations. Maybe feeling your stomach expand against your legs as you squeeze them in. Still finding that breath. And then let's have a little gentle twist. So the arms go out sideways, palms to the floor. And then just take both legs over towards the right, just for a moment. A little gentle twist. I'm going to hit the wall, that's okay. And seeing how this feels. Where does this feel like a stretch? Where does this feel nice? Still finding the breath. Still being in this moment. And then bring the legs back to the center. Take both legs over to the left. Same thing, just a gentle twist. Nothing crazy, just being here. If your shoulder lifted up, that's okay. If the legs don't get to the ground, that's okay. Just seeing how this feels, noticing the sensations in your body, being present, noticing your breath. And then bring both legs back to center. And we'll reach the legs out onto our mat. Arms can come down beside us, palms facing up to the sky. And we'll find the shape of Shavasana. So as you come into Shavasana, we can take a moment and just feel how our body feels after these gentle movements. You can feel how the earth feels underneath us. We can notice if we're holding, maybe we can relax a little bit more, soften a little bit more. We can notice if we were controlling our breath, and we can let go of that. The air can move in and out on its own. And we might also just let go of any control that we're holding over our mind. And we can notice here when it starts to move away from the present moment. And if it feels good, you can bring it back to your breath. You can bring it back to the present moment. Or you can just ignore it. Whatever it's trying to tell you about some future thing, some past thing, something else. And just be here for these last few moments on your mat. And then when you start to feel ready, if your mind wandered, gently bring it back to this moment. Start to feel how your body feels again. You can wiggle your fingers, maybe wiggle your toes, maybe roll out your hands and your feet. You can take a big breath, reach the arms up overhead, and then maybe give yourself a nice big hug. Arms can cross over your chest. You can get an extra hug if you switch which arm is on top. You can bend your knees, put your feet on the ground, or hug your knees into your chest, whatever feels the best to you. Maybe rock side to side. And then make your way over to your right side. And we'll make our way up to seated, nice and slowly. Don't feel like you have to rush. And then find a comfortable seat. If you're sitting cross-legged or however else you like to sit, hands can rest on your knees. We can close our eyes for another moment. So as you go off your mat and through your evening or your day, wherever you are, through your week, just think about this idea of Asteya. Notice where you might be stealing the present moment from yourself. Notice where you might be stealing an experience from yourself. Also notice those moments where you might accidentally be stealing something you're not thinking of from someone else, like time or energy. And again, remember your ahimsa, don't be too hard on yourself, but just notice these things and think about them and see how you can apply them as you go about your week and your life. Let's bring our hands to touch at your heart. Whatever your intention was, our collective intention was to be present. But if you had another intention, that's okay too. Check in with yourself with both intentions if you had both. And without any judgment, of course, just see how it went. And then take a moment and honor the light that exists within you and thank yourself for coming to yoga in this present moment. I thank you all for being here with me as well. And I honor the light within you and within all beings. Namaste. All right. Thank you everyone who was here. I can't see on Facebook right now for some reason, but I can see my friends on Instagram, and that makes me happy and excited. So yay, thank you everybody who was here. It's nice to see you all, and I will see you all again soon. If you don't know about my other classes, you can go jincarter.com/online and you can see all the classes there. Also, if you are enjoying class and you have the means right now and you would like to donate, I would really appreciate it. It would really help me out, but it's totally okay if you cannot, because I completely understand. But if you want to do that, it's jincarter.com/donate, and that would be awesome and amazing. Probably maybe some new classes coming soon too, so stay tuned. Also, I guess if you would like, you can get on my newsletter. And that one is jincarter.com/talkstory, I believe. So you can find it there on my website too. So alright, I will see you all again soon. Aloha and namaste.